Welcome back to another episode of Play Action Fantasy Football. We're going to go over the wide receiver start sit videos today. So why don't we go ahead and jump right into it. We have the Thursday night game, Tampa Bay versus Buffalo. You're going to go ahead and start Mike Evans here now that he's back after another week of that hamstring injury. A couple weeks back. He's back to full health, it seems like, and he's definitely back to being Baker Mayfield's number one target. Now, Baker is questionable going into this game, but all signs are pointing to him starting. That being said, Mike Evans will be a start pretty much regardless of who's at quarterback. On the other hand, Chris Godwin is questionable going into this game. He is dealing with a little bit of an injury. If he does play, I'm going to put him on the caution side. Obviously, if he doesn't play, you're going to sit him. So he's a cautionary start for me in this one. Then Trey Palmer is still going to be a sit as of right now. Buffalo side of the ball, I'm going to go ahead and start Stephon Diggs, but sit Gabe Davis and Deontay Hardy. Davis is kind of falling back to earth after the last 2 weeks' performance. Is not the best look for Gabe Davis right now and Gabe Davis owners. Next up, we have the Jets and the Giants, a battle of the New York teams here. Garrett Wilson will be a start for me in this one. He's going to get the targets. He's going to get the volume. The biggest thing is he going to be, a wide receiver 1, a wide receiver 2? For me, he's more leaning wide receiver 2 flex play. I'll be honest with you. Garrett Wilson is a great receiver. Don't get me wrong. Zach Wilson's the problem. He definitely is the problem here. He's not a great quarterback overall. He has some flashes. He's had some moments so far this season. He's doing all right with Garrett Wilson, but I'm not too thrilled about having Aaron Rodgers out. Garrett Wilson was on lock for a big year, in my opinion. But Garrett Wilson, nevertheless, will be a start just because of the talent and the volume he's going to get. Allen Lazard and Randall Cobb are both going to be sits in this game for me. There's no reason to start them. They've had a couple good games here and there, but other than that, no other reason. Giants side of the ball, I will give a slight cautionary start to Jalen Hyatt. If Tyrod Taylor's the quarterback, which it seems like he could be again this week, that seems to be the guy he was going to. So Hyatt's going to be the more likely target for Tyrod Taylor. Darius Slayton, Robinson, and Isaiah Hodgins are both going to be, all three of them are actually going to be sits for me in this matchup. How about the Jaguars and the Steelers? This could be a decent game overall. You got some good weapons here at the receiving end of these teams. Christian Kirk's going to be a lock at start here for me. There's no reason to sit him. Calvin Ridley, on the other hand, go ahead and sit him. Another disappointing performance in Week 7. And then Zay Jones and Jamal Agnew are both going to be sits in this one as well. It seems like it's Christian Kirk, Travis Etienne at this point, and Evan Ingram. These other three have not done anything the last couple weeks here. It's honestly very sad to see Calvin Ridley fall back to where he is now. I mean, he looked like he was in for a prime position year again, and then fall We thought we were getting the Calvin Ridley back of old. Apparently not. Steelers side of the ball, though, Deontay Johnson was an immediate impact in this game. Week 7 against the Rams, he did have 5 catches for 6 targets and 79 yards. It's good enough for a flex play wide receiver 2, depending on where you were at in bye weeks last week, whatever the case is. 12 points is not bad. And he's going to get another opportunity here against the Jaguars, who are terrible against the pass. I mean, the Saints definitely proved that with Chris Olave and Michael Thomas. Deontay Johnson is definitely going to get a lot of targets in this game, and so is George Pickens. And George Pickens obviously has the connection with Kenny Pickett. I mean, Pickens last week, 5 catches, 8 targets, 107 yards, It's good for me. Go ahead and start both of them. But we're going to go ahead and sit Allen Robinson in this matchup. Following that game up, you got the Eagles and the Commanders, and let's go ahead and start A.J. Brown. The dude is killing it right now. There's no doubt in my mind. He is going to be huge this year, and he is an automatic lock. Looked a little rough at the beginning, but all of a sudden he started picking it up there, and that's definitely something that we love to see. So A.J. Brown locked that in, and Devonta Smith against the Commanders, I'm going to give him one more shot here. He didn't do terrible. I mean, you would like to see more. 4 catches, 5 targets, 49 yards. That's 8 points. For a guy of his caliber, you should see a lot more. This could be a matchup where he finally bounces back. Now, it all depends, though, on where they're going with it, because Hurts is taking the running game. DeAndre Swift is taking the running game into effect here. They're more run than pass than they were last year. They're definitely running the ball a little bit more. Definitely slinging it to A.J. Brown still, but Devonta Smith is not getting those targets right now. But he's a cautionary start in this one. I think he could definitely break out here against Washington. And then Julio Jones is going to be a sit for me in this one. Other side of the ball, Terry McLaurin. Go ahead and start him. Terry McLaurin did have 6 catches on 9 targets and 90 yards. That's pretty good there. He's more of a flex play for me in this game, not any more than a wide receiver 2. If you have, injuries or whatever the case is, I'm not throwing him in as my wide receiver 1. Hopefully you have better options than that, especially if you're playing fantasy football. Curtis Samuel is questionable going in this game. I'm curious to see where he is health-wise on Saturday. If he is good to go in a game time decision, upgrade him to an automatic start. He did slow down a little bit last game, 4 catches on 8 targets for 25 yards. Dotson did end up getting more targets last game, but I don't see that continuing here. And that's why I think Jahan Dotson is going to be a sit for me in this one. He has had one game all year over double-digit points. He's had one game over 10 points all year. I don't like that. Curtis Samuel has been more consistent the last couple weeks. He's put up, 13, 19 points the last couple weeks here. This is the first time in like 3 or 4 weeks that he has actually went below double digits. So keep that in mind moving forward. Rams and Cowboys now. And this is going to be a good game for the Rams offense and the wide receivers in this one. Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, go ahead and start both of them. It seemed like one was going to have a good week 2 weeks ago and the other one didn't. And it was the reverse role this week. I still think that they can both coexist. I think you have to throw them in there just because now that you have Cooper Kupp back, it opens the up. If you guard Cooper Kupp, then Puka Nacua is open. You guard Puka Nacua, then usually Cooper Kupp's open. And if they can get the running game going, that's just going to open them up even more. There's too much volume to even think about sitting them. I mean, Kupp had 2 catches on 7 targets. It only went for 29 yards, but 7 targets. Nacua had 8 catches on 12 targets for 154 yards. But the targets are there. These guys can coexist. It's just a matter of getting the catches and turning it into production. I like the volume. You have to play these guys because of the volume. Tutu Atwell, on the other hand, he had 1 catch for 31 yards on 2 targets, and it turned into a touchdown. But we can't rely on that touchdown every single week. It's happened now in 2 weeks. I will keep an eye on that. But for as of right now in this matchup, go ahead and sit Tutu Atwell. Dallas' side of the ball, they had a bye week last week. Let's see what ends up happening here. In week 6, right before the bye week, CeeDee Lamb finally started getting the targets that we wanted to see. 7 catches, 7 targets, 117 yards. Love it. 18 points. That's what we want from a guy who should be a wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2, depending on how well or how bad you drafted or how average you drafted. Cooks on the other hand, did have a touchdown in week 6. Again, bye week last week for them. But that was the only thing that brought value to Brandon Cooks was the touchdown in week 6. I'm going to go ahead and sit Brandon Cooks and Michael Gallup in this one. Gallup's, again, he had 3 catches for 10 targets and 24 yards. He's had the targets majority of the year here. He's just never been able to really turn it into anything. And that's very unfortunate considering the type of player that Gallup is. He was definitely one of the top guys a couple years back running into this year as well. Moving on now, you got the Vikings and the Packers. This could be a really interesting one. Now, the Packers side, I'm going to get to that in a minute, but my goodness, Jordan Addison, welcome to the league. He put the team on his back. What looked like it was an interception and was taken over by the defensive back of the 49ers. Looked like the defensive back for the 49ers had 80% of that ball already taken. And then Addison said, "Give me that," and ran it to the house for over 60 yards. Are you kidding me, Jordan Addison? By the way, he won me 2 of my leagues. I was supposed to lose that. Without that performance, I lose. So, Jordan Addison, thank you for that one. KJ Osborne, on the other hand, I'm going to go ahead and give him a cautionary start. I think this could be a good matchup for KJ Osborne here, especially with Addison questionable running into this game. I do think Addison does play. They said it was cramps. That's the reason he stepped out. I don't think that's going to hold him out in week 8 here. Even with Addison playing or not playing, KJ Osborne definitely got a couple more targets after he went out. And if Addison is going to be covered or is going to be smothered in coverage based on that performance, KJ Osborne could see an increase in those targets and maybe some more open opportunities. Brandon Powell, on the other hand, go ahead and sit him. Packers side of the ball, this is where it gets interesting. Romeo Doubs was in my top 30 this week in rankings. Okay. And the reason I like Romeo Doubs in this situation is for 2 reasons. One, he got more targets at the end of the game. He had 2 catches for 5 targets, 30 yards, and a touchdown. He got that touchdown late in the game, helped force them into a potential winning situation before Jordan Love threw an interception that sealed the deal for the Broncos. However, Christian Watson on that last drive hurt his knee. Okay, This is where I need everyone to listen. And I'll know in the comments, if you comment, why is Romeo Doubs a start and not Christian Watson? Well, the reason being is, here's the interesting thing. He hurt his knee, and it's the same knee he had surgery on last year. And it's also the same knee, or the same leg, I should say, that he's had the hamstring and the quad issue last year and this year. They said that the imaging showed fine, but the imaging isn't the actual pain, okay? If you can't run effective routes and cut on it, you're not going to be able to run as a wide receiver in this league. I don't think he plays this week. If he does, he's a very cautionary start for me. Romeo Doubs, in the 4 games that Christian Watson was not in there, and this is at the beginning of the season when he had that hamstring injury, it's almost unbelievable in a sense to see these type of numbers from Romeo Doubs. I mean, Romeo Doubs had 5 targets in week 1, 3 targets in week 2, 12 targets in week 3, and 13 targets in week 4. By the way, week 1, 2 touchdowns, none in week 2, 1 touchdown in week 3, no touchdowns in week 4. By the way, he put up fantasy points of 18, 5, 18, and 18. The only game he put up under 18 in those weeks was week 2 against Atlanta, who is still consistently causing issues for wide receivers in this league no matter the matchup. They are causing issues for wide receivers on their secondary. Romeo Doubs should be a start this week if Christian Watson is 100% out. But even if Christian Watson is not 100% healthy, Romeo Doubs should be a start regardless. Christian Watson, like I said, cautionary start here, and then Jaden Reed will be a sit for in this one. Moving on now, after that one, we got the Falcons and the Tennessee Titans. Drake London's going to be a start for me. Matt Collins and Van Jefferson are going to be sits. I'm only starting Drake London as a flex spot. If you need a flex play Drake London at flex. Again, listen to the videos. If you just skip through and look at the graphic, I'm going to get somebody in the comment section going, Drake London's a start, but DeAndre Hopkins isn't. Listen to the video. Drake London's a start. Matt Collins and Van Jefferson are going to be sits. Like I said, Drake London is a flex play. DeAndre Hopkins is a cautionary start, just like I stated in the slide in the few minutes prior with Romeo Doubs. The Falcons have been giving issues to wide receivers left and right all year. DeAndre Hopkins might have an issue. Oh, and by the way, DeAndre Hopkins is probably going to have Will Levis or Malik Willis at quarterback because it sounds like Ryan Tannehill is out. Traylon Burks and Westbrook are going to be sits in this one as well. Moving on now, you got the Patriots and the Dolphins. And this could be a really interesting one here for me. Patriots, I'm going to go ahead and start Kendrick Bourne. Definitely a guy who has been producing more and more, even with Mac Jones. They have been able to find a way to get him utilized one way or another, whether it's down the field, over across the route, or, a couple button hooks, couple, short slants, whatever the case is, he's getting the volume out of it. Devontae Parker is going to be a sit, and Juju Smith-Schuster is questionable with a concussion. I don't think he plays in this game. If he does, I'm still going to sit him in this one. Dolphins side of the ball, though, go ahead and start Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. I did forget Jalen Waddle in the top 30. There's no excuse for that. I apologize about that. The same reason I forgot Jamar Chase. The bye week threw me off. However, Jalen Waddle is going to be a start against the Patriots. I was leaning more cautionary start with him because the Patriots did give fits to Gabe Davis and Deontay Hardy. However, Waddle is a better receiver than them. Let's see if he can get the targets now. So go ahead and start Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and then Chase Claypool. I'm going to go ahead and sit him in that one. Saints and Colts now. Michael Thomas is going to be a start for me in this one. Chris Olave did get arrested for reckless driving. He will be a start for me. I have him as a cautionary start for right now. He will be a start for me if he plays on Sunday. If he does not play on Sunday, obviously you're going to sit him. But it's up to you as a gut feeling, because this is where it gets tricky. The NFL doesn't tell us this. Some of the coaches don't tell us this. Chris Olave could end up only being on a few snap counts near the end of the game as a punishment. We won't know. They will just let it be known when you're watching the game. So Chris Olave is going to be a very cautionary start for me. Either way this goes. In all honesty, if you have an option that you can swap out Chris Olave for, go ahead and do it, because this is going to be a tricky situation based on how they want to handle it. Rashid Shaheed is going to be a sit for me for the Saints in this one. Colts side of the ball. Michael Pittman Jr. and Josh Downs, start them both. I said for multiple weeks Josh Downs was going to be somebody you should look at and possibly pick up. What did he do? Broke up a big chunk of yards, some catches. This dude is a burner down the field. Oh, and by the way, he did it against the number one defense in the NFL. Against the pass. The number one defense against the pass in the NFL. With Gardner Minshew at quarterback. Gardner Minshew loves targeting Josh Downs. That's his guy. That is his guy. Just like Anthony Richardson, Michael Pittman was his guy. No, Josh Downs is Gardner Minshew's guy. And Josh Downs proved it last week. So start both them and sit Alec Pierce in this one. Moving on, you got the Texans and the Panthers. This should be a very good game overall as well. You do have Nico Collins coming back off a bye week. I do think he's going to be fresh and ready to go. And again, he's been the main guy for CJ Stroud in this offense. Tank Dell's coming back from is going to be a cautionary start. He is coming back from a concussion a couple weeks back. It's tricky with that because the way he got hurt was a very interesting way of getting hurt. It kept him out for a week or two. Usually that's a week, and then you're back with the following week. No, he was out for 2 weeks and then the bye week, and that's going to be something to keep looking at going forward. But if he does play, I'm still going to give him a little bit of up-to-speed waning time on this as a cautionary start. If you need a flex play, I'm not mad about him being a flex play. Robert Woods on the other hand, sit him. Other side of the ball, Panthers, you're starting Adam Thielen. He has been balling out all season. I don't think I have to say any more than that at this point, other than the fact that this dude, right before a bye week in Miami, 11 catches, 13 targets, 115 yards, and a touchdown. Start him in your lineup. Please, for the love of God, start him in your lineup. DJ Chark, Jonathan Mingo, Terrence Marshall, all sits in this one. Moving on to the 4 o'clock games, you got the Browns and the Seahawks. Deshaun Watson's already ruled out. PJ Walker's the quarterback. Sit every single Browns receiver. Now they also lose another running back in this situation for a couple weeks in Jerome Ford with a high ankle sprain, and Kareem Hunt's dealing with a knee injury. How they are managing to win these games right now, I have no idea. No idea. But as of right now, for wide receivers, sit them all. Seahawks side of the ball, though, go ahead and start DK Metcalf. And Tyler Lockett's dealing with a little bit of an injury right now. I'm a little cautious on him right now. If he does play and he's a full go, elevate him to a start. Obviously, he is a talented wide receiver, and he's more of a burner. I think they're going to have to double DK Metcalf, and Tyler Lockett's going to get open with some burners down the field. Jackson Smith and Jigma have seen opportunities with DK out last week, but with DK back, Tyler Lockett is more than likely going to be playing this game, and if he does, Jackson Smith and Jigba is a sit. However, keep this in mind. If Tyler Lockett is out for whatever reason, Jackson Smith and Jigba immediately becomes a start. I don't say that often. I don't say a sit on the screen is going to become a start because one player goes out. But in this case, that would be the case. Moving on now, you got the Bengals and the 49ers. Jamar Chase, the guy that I forgot on the rankings video, he's going to be a start in this one. And T. Higgins looks like he's coming back finally. But I still think Tyler Boyd's also going to be involved. Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins are both cautionary starts for me. One of them is going to get more targets than the other, I believe, in this game. But Jamar Chase is obviously going to be Burrow's guy. They had the connection at LSU. That's going to be the thing carrying over here in that situation. So San Francisco side of the ball, Brock Purdy has a concussion protocol right now. He might not play Sunday, and if he doesn't play, Sam Darnold's your quarterback. Even with Purdy, I might put Brandon Ayuk as a cautionary start. Juwan Jennings and Ray McLeod, though, are going to be sits in this matchup. Now you get the Chiefs and the Broncos here. Rashee Rice will be a start for me in this one. Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, and Valdez Scantling are all going to be sits for me. Rice is definitely the second guy in the passing game when it comes to after Travis Kelce obviously being number one. But last week, Rice had 5 catches, 6 targets, 60 yards, and a touchdown. He's had 2 weeks now back-to-back with a touchdown. Now, last time they played the Broncos was in Kansas City. He ended up with 12 points. After that game, he ended up with 17 last week. So he's definitely on the uprising here and somebody I'm definitely keeping an eye on here very closely. He's not touchdown dependent. He's definitely getting the yardage. I mean, 11 points before the touchdown. You get the touchdown. Now he's 17 points. Definitely a good opportunity for him against the Broncos again in Week 8. Now on the Broncos side of the ball, Courtland Sutton's going to be a start. Jerry Jeudy and Marvin Mims are going to be sit. Sutton is the only guy I'm starting for one reason. Last game against Kansas City in terrible weather conditions, he had that amazing touchdown catch. But again, kind of help seal his deal here. However, Sutton has been more consistent than any receiver here, and I think he's still going to have an opportunity here again at another touchdown. 4 catches, 6 targets, 46 yards, and a touchdown last time against Kansas City. We'll see how that continues in Week 8. Now you got the Ravens and the Cardinals, and Zay Flowers is going to be a start for me in this one. Odell Beckham Jr., Nelson Aguilar, and Rashad Bateman are going to be sits in this one. Zay Flowers is the only consistent guy here right now, so we'll see what happens with this. But as of right now, Zay Flowers, like I say every week, is the only start on this matchup. Cardinals. Marquise Brown will be a start for me in this one. This feels like a trap game for me. Definitely feels like a trap game for me. So I do like Marquise Brown. He hasn't been very consistent. He's been more of a low-end flex play or a super flex play in a lot of leagues right now. But I think he can finally bounce back against the Ravens here, especially if they're going to be throwing late and from behind a lot. All right, now we got Sunday Night Football, and you got DJ Moore leading the pack here for the Bears. DJ Moore is going to be a start for me. Darnell Mooney is going to be a cautionary start for one reason. As long as Justin Fields is out. Justin Fields really didn't throw to Darnell Mooney that much at all. Now you got Tyson Bagent. I like it. I'll be honest. They do play pretty well against Las Vegas, and now he gets another matchup against the Chargers, who are terrible on defense, again, against the pass. This is another opportunity for him to maybe do something here in this situation. DJ Moore, like I said, start. Darnell Mooney's going to be a cautionary start. Tyler Scott, go ahead and sit him. He's not really going to be a factor in this game. Chargers, on the other hand, Keenan Allen is a start. I did have Joshua Palmer as a start before I seen he had a knee injury. Now he's more of a cautionary start. I don't know the significance of his knee injury entirely, other than it became a factor later in the game against Kansas City last week. If Joshua Palmer starts, obviously you're going to start him automatically. He should be a wide receiver 2 or flex play this week, especially against the Bears, who are also bad against the pass. But the difference is one has Justin Herbert on their team at quarterback, and that's the Chargers. That's why I like Keenan Allen and Joshua Palmer in this matchup. Quentin Johnston, he hasn't done much. He has not done much at all for me to go ahead and put him in here and say, yeah, you're a flex player. Yeah, you're a wide receiver 2. Nope, he has not done anything at all. And let's go ahead and end it here. You get the Monday Night Football game, Raiders and Lions. Brian Hoyer looked like garbage. Jimmy G is questionable heading into this game, but he is not medically clear yet, and that leads to all factors of I don't think he's playing this Sunday. It seems like he's not playing this Sunday, and if Brian Hoyer's out there again, Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, yeah, they might have put up decent points, but can you trust it? Lions have a decent defense, and Brian Hoyer is a veteran, but man, I'm iffy. Devontae Adams did not do well enough to be a wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2. Hell, he didn't even do good enough to really almost be a flex at that point. So both those guys are cautionary starts for Jacoby Myers and Devontae Adams. Hunter Renfrow is going to be a sit. Lions side of the ball, though, only one start here. That's Amon-Ra St. Brown. 13 catches on 19 targets and 102 yards. Yes, that came later in the game, and he kind of racked up those catches early on, but that yardage came later in the game for big chunks there. So we'll see what ends up happening with Josh Reynolds and Jamison Williams in this week, but as of right now, those guys are going to be sits for me. That's going to do it for our Week 8 start sit wide receiver video. Make sure you like and subscribe. It goes a long way and helps us out here. We're 2 away from being able to go live. Maybe do some Q&As and stuff like that on Sundays to help you with last-minute lineup sets or whatever the case is. But other than that, we'll talk to you guys next week.